Hey everybody, this is Perch, and I'm here. Oh, it's just me, so everybody can go home. No, it's a shorter stream. Apologize to everybody for the later than normal start. It's been a crazy day. I will tell you, it is. This is the kind of day where I'm going to dox the hell out of myself because I forget what's going on. But it has been a crazy day. It's been a crazy week. It's definitely every year is a little bit like this as we ramp up to the holiday. And thank you, everyone, for coming and joining in the chaos. Glad you're here. We'll have a fun little bit shorter than usual stream, but still a chance to get together. I put out a lot of data this week, so I'm hoping we can have some conversations around that. This isn't going to go all smoothly like usual, like the well-oiled machine that normally has gotten. So we're going to talk through all that, and this is a time definitely to answer more of your questions. But I want to tell you a little bit about what's coming up over the next 2 weeks and what's happening and what's coming and some answers to some questions that I know some people have. But we'll have a chance to talk comics. It's Friday. Hopefully you are out of work or you're sailing nicely into a nice beer or whatever you happen to be drinking. By the way, I've come to learn there's a lot of people from Australia that watch my channel. I have no idea why, but thank you for everybody from there. I guess it's your Saturday, so you're well, and you should also be having a beer no matter what time of day it is. But speaking of beer, I am having just beer, so nothing fancy today. Nice Modelo. This is a very nice sweet beer. Just good stuff. Good for a nice casual evening in when the week has been absolutely nuts. So let's talk about this week and some of the stuff that has gone on. So. One big kind of elephant in the room is we were promised that we would get solicitations for DC either Thursday or Friday. We got neither of those things. So what apparently is happening is that there are some news that's waiting to be dropped. I think the big moment people are waiting for is absolutely who's this new Superman creative team, who's the new Legion of Superheroes creative team, not Legion, well, not Justice League. Sorry, Legion too. We'll talk about Legion more in a minute. But it is, from what I understand, again, don't hold me to this because I keep hearing different things. We were supposed to hear something today. We didn't. But we're again supposed to hear something over the weekend. But we are definitely for sure supposed to get a lot of announcements on Wednesday's kind of the deadline because solicitations has to drop in order to get the orders in no later than Thursday. And those numbers, the way it kind of works is the solicitations generally get leaked anywhere between 24 and 48 hours. So if DC has not announced some of these plans of who's on what, then Bleeding Cool is going to be announcing it Tuesday. So it's like, you pick, DC. Do you want to own it or do you want them to own it? But one way or another, we will get the answers we've been waiting for on what's going on in March by that time. So there we go. So that is that. I expect to have a lot of news, a lot of information as we get closer to that. The other thing is I've got a couple interviews that are lining up that I hope that you like. I have a couple notes out, but one of the ones that is coming relatively soon is that the Jeff Thorne, who's going to be taking over Green Lantern. We had a bit of a dialogue on Twitter, and I'm going to be interviewing him next week, and I'm interested to hear what he has to say because he got outed in some weird controversy. Not controversy, not right. Some Bleeding Cool dug up some old tweets, said, "Hey, this guy hates Hal Jordan," and then adventure continued. So I hope to ask him about that, just kind of directly of what's coming. So that's coming relatively quickly. Yes, exactly. The Electoral College will be making this decision. If DC doesn't do it, somebody has to do it. And I can't second this enough. Come on, DC. Just get your marketing in line. Cannot. It's all Trump's fault. That's the problem. So I'm interested to see what Jeff Thorne has to say and talk to him a little bit. I have a couple other good. God, I can't like this comment enough. But I have a couple other good interviews, hopefully coming up with some people in the industry. I may, knock on wood, I've reached out to Jim Shooter, and I am hoping to get him. I know a lot of people are interested in that. What's funny about that, so if you watch the Long Legion retrospective that Joe Carl and I did, which I love doing those. I think there's a world where all the other stuff on the channel goes away and I just do retrospectives for a few months. That would be brilliant. it is definitely, I want to talk to Jim Shooter about that time. I think being able to get into DC at 14 and write comics. And this is, by the way, so I think people, there's some people on some other channels who've taken a lot of shots at me saying, I don't like Jim Shooter. It's not true. The most amazing part of Jim Shooter to me is not what he did at Marvel and not kind of him being in charge of editorial. Is it freaking 14? He was writing Legion of Superheroes. If your mind is not absolutely blown by that, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, that is the headline of that story, I think, and so that's what I'm keen on getting. So yes, I hope to talk to more people. At the same time, I think I have fallen into the absolute worst possible pattern of all time. I have got so many emails at this point that I have not responded to. A lot of people, especially the people I want to help out the most, a lot of independent comic creators, people who are trying to make a go of it, have been sending me comics and asking me to look at them, and I've got to reconcile that. But I'm also doing a pretty heavy duty consulting gig right now, which is taking a lot of brain space out of the picture, right? Anyway, hello everyone. Hello Ash. Ash is a absolute great guest on this. I offended him last week by accident by talking about Sean Murphy and then Joe. So Ash is absolutely wonderful. So any rate, I think I really am thankful for everybody to come in here, and we'll settle down a little bit. I'll have some more alcohol here, and then I will. Life will be much better, much better. So, by the way, do put your questions in here. Can I get Dinesh? Yes, I'd love to. I've got a lot of questions about Bad Idea and some of the strategy they will do. Yes, to Ash's question, I'm flying solo tonight because it's weird. I've started late, and I'm not sure exactly how quickly I'm having to end. So it's a little bit of a weird show here today. It has, like I said, it's been a weird week. So a couple things happened. We got that absolutely bonkers Marvel announcement of all the series they're pushing out to the market, along with Star Wars on Disney Plus, which is nuts. And then on top of that, I've been doing these sales numbers things. And what's funny is I was talking with, God, it may have been Ash, but maybe not. I was talking to somebody. Maybe I should put Ash in. Yeah, Eric is saying I should just put Ash in. We can work that out. I'm not looking at chat, but anyway, whatever works, man. Run in. Hey, Anthony. Hey, everybody. Hey, Breen, what are you doing here? Glad to see you here. When am I going to review the sales numbers for Ten of Swords? Well, when they're available. So one thing that happened, and what's going to definitely dent the overall sales number pictures, is that since the pandemic, since April, we really have not been getting accurate numbers for anyone. And so that's, those are going to come out at some point, but they've been kind of hidden. They use this kind of opportunity to kind of pull back on some of the numbers they used to be providing. So we will get back to those and everything else. I will do more analysis. It's funny, like I was saying, hello, Jamie, by the way, good to see you. When I did this numbers, the very first one, I did the Tom King one. I told somebody, and I cannot remember who now, I said, nobody is going to like this. I said, the only hope for anyone to care at all about this video is that people hate Tom King and they'll want to see Tom King get dunked on. But I said, it's not really a dunked on video. So I suspect a lot of people are really going to hate it. And this is me clearly not understanding my market. But I said, I did this one. So I put out the Tom King one. I got such a good response. Then I went ahead and did the Bendis one and the Vendetti one, and now the Jason Aaron one. And more will come. I will slow them down. I can't do one a day, but it's going to feel like that. And I'm going to give you a sneak preview of the one that's coming up next, which is maybe the most heartbreaking and stunning of them all, which is coming. But at any rate, the numbers are interesting because I get into a lot of arguments with people, and I can't tell if I'm being trolled to some extent or if they're coming deliberately with an extreme comment or not. And I feel like I need to respond to it. But it also feels like the whole thing is absurd, like some of this conversation. So hopefully by putting the numbers up there, it's like, look, this is something hopefully to learn from. You could draw your own conclusions from it. I think there's a lot of different ways to read numbers. And so hopefully, this provides some data out there, and we can talk with more, more stats. We can talk with more information. I do think it paints a pretty consistent picture, and it's probably the best way. I've been doing this channel for more than a year now. And I often say, I think that there are real problems in the comic industry, but they're not the problems people talk about all the time. They're different problems. And I think I've been trying and failing largely in getting that message across. I think the numbers do a far better job of that. So at any rate, can we do a deep dive on Teen Titans? Hell yes, and absolutely we will do that. The ones that are coming up, I think, are definitely Teen Titans. We're going to do this one that everybody's going to be really pissed at because I think it's a terrible comic, and I think 99% of people love it. Somebody guessed it in the comments, but Joe Corallo are looking forward to doing that one. Going to do the Morrison X-Men run as a retrospective. Going to do the Marvel Mangaverse, and hopefully get some people to come in and contribute to that one as well. I've reached out to Ben Dunn to get his comments on it. Looking forward to that. And we'll keep going. I think doing those are great. And like some people are saying in the chat, Joe Corallo is like a memory that is ludicrous. I mean, I don't know how I just have no idea how it goes. My daughter's favorite One Piece character. So I have to do a video. She gets shy in front of the video. And then a couple people downvoted her reaction to the YA stuff. And she felt very sad about it. And I was trying to tell her, it's like, everybody downvotes everything. You gotta get, it's a good lesson for her. Learn to deal with that rejection. But I want them to come on and talk about One Piece because we just finished Marineford. And if you're not watching that or reading that series, and she's read it and now we're watching it on Funimation, but that's a completely insane arc. I mean, they bring everybody to the table and it's just bonkers. So I definitely absolutely nuts. So you gotta, if you haven't checked out that stuff, it's absolutely nuts. Will I do Legion by DNA? Yeah, I think so. I think one thing that Joe and I kind of came to the conclusion of is we need to do a part 2 to that Legion video because we kind of, the last 15 minutes or so, we just skated over a ton of history and we got to go back and then redo that one. Or not redo, but just cover the rest of it. See how strong my friendship is. Do the numbers on Murphy's White Knight. Yes, I absolutely am doing the numbers on Murphy's White Knight, but then I've deliberately been holding off on that one because the White Knight numbers are not like the other numbers. They definitely have a different curve to them. And it's a curve that comic people, I posted the chart on Twitter actually of the White Knight numbers. I've just been holding it back till I get a couple of Marvel ones in. But White Knight's one of those series where the numbers went, number 1, strong seller. Number 2 went down like normal, but a much smaller drop than usual. And then number 3 and 4 went up. Like it was the curve went back the other direction. And that's there's very few creators who can claim that. Donnie Cates has a couple books that fit in that category, but it's super rare, and it's pretty crazy. I'm sorry to hear you're blocked by Mariko Tamaki. She's blocked a lot of people. I don't know if I'm blocked by her or not. Maybe I've given up caring too much. I just for a while when I would get blocked by somebody, it was part of a bot. What I don't like about these bots is sometimes the people who are putting together these lists are shady. They're not like doing it in the best interest. They're like adding people to these lists based on who they don't happen to like. And there's one guy very early on who disliked me kind of right out the gate and put me on some of these lists. So I got blocked by some weird people. And then I would go and if I find out I'm blocked by somebody, I typically block them back. It's not a tit for tat kind of thing. It's like I don't want somebody from behind a curtain pulling my posts and doing stuff because that's happened a lot. And then I've had creators reach out for me going, hey, why'd you block me? It's like, I have no idea. Why? What can you say? Anyway, what are you going to do? Twitter is nonsense by and large. I remind me of more of a comics historian. Yeah, except my memory is failing. No, that's not true. I get too much into the analysis. I do really enjoy kind of looking at this stuff and going into it. I don't mean to be, I think sometimes I get into well, it could be this way or it could be that way. I can't make a decision. And it's always something. There's always stuff to improve. Yes, I think House of X Powers of 10 are coming up next, I believe. Not next. The next one's what I'm going to show you in a minute, but Powers of X, House of 10. But I'm hoping you have some questions on those numbers. What's my favorite run on Legion of Superheroes? I mean, for me, I did like the Jim Shooter stuff very, very much. I like the Great Darkness Saga because I mean, who wouldn't like that? The Magic Wars, when Keith Giffen came in and did his reboot, I actually really enjoyed that quite a lot. It was controversial, but I thought that was a lot of fun. So I enjoyed it. Legion is the thing about Legion is that if you haven't gone there and you're a US comic fan and you don't want to take the step to manga, then Legion is your answer, because you've got years worth of content. Well, maybe not that much, but you have a lot of comics. You have hundreds and hundreds of comics you can catch up on, many of which are on that DC digital platform. And if you hate that, there are not perfect, but there are some omnibuses you can pick up cheap. And I definitely would say this is what you do, because if you're really frustrated by the current comics, this is exactly what you do. Richard, I heard this. I have not gone to check out what's going on, but I guess I'm a topic of conversation, sort of, or I don't know. It's fine. I find it all very funny. Yes, Great Darkness Saga is some of the best comics absolutely ever. Absolutely. How big is the core comic buying population at the U.S. in the moment? So the core, meaning the repeating population, is I think it's definitely under 100,000, which is I said that to somebody once and they just like flipped out, like no absolute way is it that small. But I think it is. When I say repeating, I mean people who are not speculators, people are not coming in and buying like 10 copies bought by one person equals one person. But I think the available comic buying population is way larger than that, and I'll show you why in a moment. I think I've got some proof to that. Will you do the numbers on the Zarsky run? Yes, I've got this one a lot too, and yes, I am. By the way, when you go into the comments in the videos and you say, "Will you please do whoever?" That didn't come out right. Would you please do the number analysis for a run? I'm writing all those down. So every time, if you have gone in and any of you have written in a comment of one of the videos, please do this. I've got a nice text file now with all your requests, and I'd like to say I'll get to them all. I'm sure I will in time, but sometimes, like somebody came in, it's like, will you please do the numbers for the entire, Chris Claremont run of X-Men plus then what happened for the next 10 years after? It's like, sure. 20 years, you will get that data. Absolutely. It'll take forever. Are there any characters that you just don't like and can't get into their books regardless of creating? So I had a hard time with Daredevil for a long time, and then the Frank Miller run changed that. There are some. I think I've had a hard time with Deadpool, and I've had a hard time with Harley, both, for probably the same reasons. I think there's been some really good creative talents coming on both, but I guess I've had a hard time in all those kind of stuff. It's all in good fun. Yeah, I gather it probably is. It's got to all be in fun. I mean, Grace, we're all freaking comic YouTubers with fake names. I mean, it better be fun. Anyone who's taking this seriously is out of their minds. I'm just saying. What is it? Now we're talking about Stadia. Okay. Is the core comics buying population buying like all the top titles? I'm assuming there's less overlap. Yeah, it's. I still think it's smaller. So your question, don't know if able to figure it out. This is the big question. So let me show you some data here in a second, and I'll try and think why the core. I guess it's how you define core, but I think it is smaller in a lot of cases than we think, and that's a big alarm bell that we need to definitely get onto. Zdarsky, by the way, the sales numbers putting up for Daredevil are going to reflect this picture to some extent. And what I want to do, by the way, with these analysis I've been doing is try and start to draw out a little bit more of what could have been done. And that's why in the Avengers one with Jason Aaron, I pulled out here's where the trend is going. So maybe if you're a thoughtful comic company, you want to figure out how to adjust that and do something different. Maybe, hey, if you put some marketing toward, say, Daredevil, you might see an uptick. Hey, look, here's an example where marketing was done for the book. Look what it did, 10% growth. Maybe you should try that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know who exactly I'm talking to. I've heard from quite a lot of creators who I assumed would be very angry, but I've heard nothing but positive comments from a lot of people that don't normally write to me, saying they appreciate the numbers and the analysis and that it's vindication for things that they've been asking for. So that's cool. I like that. It's nice. I wish the people in charge of the publishers would do that. But anyway, what do you think should change to get new long-lasting talent in comics? I mean, part of the problem is that the publishers don't want it that way. Like what would be a great statement is for like DC or Marvel, and it would be good if it started from there, for somebody to come in and say, but the funny thing is they probably have done this. say, hey, Jonathan Hickman has a 5-year deal or whatever it is. He has 5 years. He's going to be on this thing for 5 years, and state that, and maybe do a press release out of it. I mean, make it a statement saying, we are committing long-term to creators. That is what we need. I think if you do that, then it's going to send a message that yes, you can be on a book for a long time. Long runs are not to be, embarrassed about, and stop signing deals like 6 issues at a time. It's crazy. I'm interested. What are my thoughts on the Gen 13 script by Alan Moore being auctioned? I mean, I guess they're getting money for it. Is Alan Moore? I need to research. Is Alan Moore getting that? I hope he's getting that money. If not, that's kind of bullshit. So. Anyway, what are see now everything is making my job easier. Yeah, don't make my job easier. Make my job harder for sure. I'm fake. Okay, are we doing random questions? Yes, we're doing some random questions. Why not? What is your first collected comic, most prized collected comic? Because I'm an X-Men fan at heart, I've got the entire run of X-Men from 1 to all of them, and in very good condition and graded high. So that's my most prized. My first collected comic, I do not, probably Legion of Superheroes. Probably something there, I would think. Do I know any background about Tim Fox? He's the estranged brother of Luke Fox, and the family dynamic is troubled. I think is probably, there you go. Is Daredevil getting a bump because of speculators? Well, it is now. And it's like, here's a classic case where Marvel maybe should have done some of this marketing earlier. They've allowed the speculators and the internet to basically do the marketing for us, and it's getting a nice bump in sales. But imagine, Marvel, if you'd done some marketing ahead of time, and then you could have sold twice the comics. That would have been good. Nightwing, Batgirl. I promise I'm going to change the picture here in a second. Nightwing, Batgirl, or Nightwing, Starfire? Yeah, I'd go Starfire. Why not? I'm a sucker for Titans. So, what would a comic? Perch has nothing to do with Ash, but what comics would a streamer like? Oh, yeah, probably comics that make them money. That's unfortunately probably the true. Do I read new issues in print or digital? Kind of a mix. I still am getting all the print comics, but I am okay with digital. Ash is way better. Yeah. He definitely makes my job easier when he's a guest. Everybody does, because then I can drink more and talk more. Perch takes Richard's. I guess I'm gonna have to go dig this up and actually go figure out what this is, but I'm sure it's fine. The funny thing is, if you're gonna make fun of me, there's like 5 million ways to do it. Like you could go with the bad audio, you could go with the rambling, you could go with the I think one of the myopic view of things that nobody really wants to know. I think there's like 50 million ways you can make fun of me, and it's all cool. Yeah. Here, let me switch this, because I'm tired of looking into beer and not drinking it. So this is what we've been talking about. If you haven't seen this analysis, I did this for Tom King's Batman run. It's all good. This is the old picture. Damn it. I adjusted the numbers based on they printed comics with cardstock and not cardstock covers, and it bumped the numbers of the last few issues. It didn't change the trend line much, but the picture it dips up. That place, you see that dip down at issue 76. That is not technically true. It did not do this because they were selling comics another way, and so that's what's going on. You'll see the numbers bump up a little bit. Still doesn't help. I wish I was driving in the car. Anyway, my version of Perch takes is 100 people on one side, so one guy on the other side, supposed to look the same. I don't think that's true. I don't know. I mentioned this. I cover a lot of stuff that I go back and forth about. Like, somebody says a crazy thing, and should I cover that or not? And probably the answer is not. But then, like, I get asked about 50 times, and then I cover it, and then I feel stupid for covering it. That's probably pretty true. Do I think Christian Bale cast as Gore is a good pick? I think it's a wasted pick. I think he's going to be all made up. I mean, in theory. And I would have Christian Bale do something else. Like, I think Christian Bale's a good actor, and I'd have him. I mean, it's a Marvel movie, so Gore's going to get killed in the movie, probably by Jane Foster. And so what, it just seems like you could do more with Christian Bale. I think Marvel, the fans mention this, but the critics never do. Like, Marvel wastes their villains, like completely wastes their villains. And I like Can you imagine right now if Marvel is leading to a Dark Reign type event or Acts of Vengeance type event where some of these villains could team up and do something? I mean, you could make $1 billion movie of the villains teaming up to run amok, but they're all dead. So I don't know what they're doing. Just speculation on books. A little speculation helps it. A lot hurts it. So I do think that speculation is a natural part of the business, and it's okay. But I think it goes way too too far for sure. Have you heard? Everybody's talking about this. I haven't heard it, so I'll go look at it later. To put myself in the middle. Okay. Did I watch Previews World today? I haven't. I need to. That gentleman was very nice to come on earlier, so I need to go check that out. It would be very, very good to do. They're going to waste Kang the Conqueror. Yes, they absolutely are. The only channel I listen to daily. Well, I'm putting out so many videos, you have no other room to talk about other channels. That's the problem. So at any rate, here is Tom King, and then we got to Bendis, and this kind of picture of how things were moving. Bendis was more alarming to me. If it didn't come out in the video, I think Bendis was a more alarming trend than King. King had a couple anniversary issues and things spiked, but you can look at King's numbers and you could clearly see that, like, the wedding and the screw up that followed the wedding was a disaster for that title in terms of killing its momentum and everything else. Whether you like Tom King or dislike Tom King, that was a blunder. It's an easily spottable blunder. When you look at Superman, I think there's a bunch of red flags that come right off the bat. I mean, first of all, you promoted him heavily, and then the Man of Steel, which was the lead-in series, debuts under 80,000. That was a huge red flag. And then when you get to the fact that some of the anniversary issues and that the other red flag is Superman #1. So it's a #1 issue, and it was Bendis on the title. That being under 140,000 was, again, is a disaster. And I'll use Tom King as the reason why. If we go to Tom King, look at his #1 issue was close to, is well, like 275,000, like a year earlier, a year and a half earlier. And Bendis Superman #1 doesn't crack 140. That was like that should have been a huge sign that things were on the wrong track. And then to settle in down there under 40,000 is just, that's insane. That is absolutely insane. So I'll put this up so people can speculate on this. But this, I think, again, a lot of people go at Tom King for things he done, and I get why and everything else. But Tom King held that title better. Bendis is just a mess, absolute mess. Some people are saying Venditti for Superman. I think this picture explains why it will not be Venditti, or probably will not be Venditti for Superman. I think, and this was the heartbreaking one to do, because as I mentioned in the video, I love this title. But it did not, it followed a similar curve, and in some cases a more dramatic curve. And I get it. Some people in the comments were saying that, well, Hawkman's a C-level character, and for sure. But I think the two lessons there is, #1, DC did this title 0 favors by not promoting it and trying to capitalize on the fact that it was getting critical acclaim. And the other thing, and I don't think I've posted this video yet, but I've got some stats from looking at the pirating, looking at some sites of what the volumes were of pirating. And Venditti's Hawkman is, I think, almost 3 to 4 times pirated Bendis's books. So what does that tell? I mean, that's an interesting, I want to put these facts up. I want to gather a little bit more data and show this, but I think there's some interesting conclusions that we can draw, is that people were interested in Venditti and his Hawkman, but they weren't willing to pay for it, or at least the pirating was very strong. And Bendis, on arguably on an A character, on a known character like Superman, was being pirated, at 25% of what Venditti was pirated on. So I mean, you start to shape this data, it starts to tell a little bit of a picture. And I think the big lesson here for DC and for Marvel is you absolutely have to listen to your customers, and you have to pay attention when they're saying things like, hey, I love this title, and you got to jump on that. Like, I think, could Hawkman have been a 100,000 copy seller? Probably not. But Could you have turned this curve around back over 30,000 if you just would have, put a little bit of muscle behind it? You absolutely could have. And that would have been smart to do, because even at that lower selling book, you're creating some IP that you can make a show out of. I mean, look, I get that Hawkman is a B or a C level character, but you're telling me Plastic Woman is a better character than that, and she's getting a streaming show. You're telling me Hawkman has no chance, but they're going to do Plastic Woman. You need that IP out there, and so I think that there's a lot to do. But at any rate, lots of fun stuff. I did the Aaron's Avengers, and this is the one where I think I got more anger from fans because they really wanted to see this picture plummeting. So here's a question, by the way, on Hawkman. How could we have fans save Hawkman? I did a video answering this question, but it is, I think buying it, that's one. Not necessarily trade rating is another. But bigger than that, I think fans and customers have to find a way to get noisier to the publishers about what they're interested in without it being a kind of trolling dog pile of a mess. It's very easy for DC and for Marvel to tune completely out, but fans they need to keep finding ways, because if you've seen, there is a way that fans have caught in titles to be renewed and come back, and some people are doing it effectively. But I think a lot of the kind of base customers are not getting that message out there effectively. They're either people are going to it's interesting is this hashtag was a good idea. The problem is it was very quickly hijacked by the people who disliked, as I recall, and I may be wrong in the chat, so I think this was Meyer's idea initially. And it's a good idea, it's a positive idea, but the people who disliked Meyer immediately made it about disliking Meyer. So this whole thing in DC and Marvel, and a lot of the editors could go, oh, this is another scam by those angry people on Twitter. And so they quickly ignored it. So it actually set up incorrectly, by the way. They should not have ignored it. But it leads into this question: what are the ways to get the voices out to publishers? For whatever reason, and I think this is stupid, but the publishers do listen to these weird petitions that go out that are I think dumb, but people circulate petitions about getting books uncanceled and other things, and I know the publishers are listening to that. I think it's weird. I have to give this more thought, but we have to, I guess the call to action is the fans have to figure out more ways to be noisier to the publishers so they can't ignore it. And when I say noisier, I don't mean, asking Cebulski, when he's going to move back to Japan. Or something like that. Anyway, it's tough. Yeah, this is kind of what that pirating stat meant. Anyway. It did feel, Eric is right here. Hawkman was promoted at the beginning, and the numbers reflected that. And then it seemed like the marketing department decided there was only one thing they could promote, and it was Bendis. And it was a shame of what was going on. So at any rate, this is Jason Aaron's Avengers. And what's funny about this, and I need to put more kind of another layer on this, is every time the Avengers starts to go parallel or fall, then they throw a leading artist back on the book. Every single one of those little bump ups is them saying, hey, let's bring back a more named artist, and almost trick the fans into thinking that we're gonna stick with a better art team for a while. And you see the slow decline, but they've managed to keep the decline much more small because of that strategy. And why I say it's interesting is if you look at some of the other books Marvel's done, it's clearly a publisher strategy of every 4 books or so, or 6 books, bring on a reasonable artist, bump the sales slightly, and then down they go again. I can show the same trend with Fantastic Four, and you'll see the exact same strategy approach. It's clearly a strategy on their hands, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it because I think I like consistent art teams. Lots of people are saying lots of things. Okay, let me go. So I want to dive into something here for a second. So get the questions ready. But I want to show you a slightly horrifying picture, and I do have a video on this that's going to come out tomorrow. And it walks through it in more detail than I'm going to do tonight, because this is like a spoiler. You're going to get something revealed to you that I really should do in the other video, but this is analysis I can't sit on. So I found this tool, and I'm gonna in the video I post up tomorrow. I'll show you how I do it. But you can go to Amazon and you can plug in the bestseller rank, and it will calculate out for you the current monthly sales. And so I did this here for a bunch of graphic novels from Marvel, DC, and there's a Dark Horse in there, and so some basic things. Now, this is not all-time sales. This is kind of the current 30-day sales, and that's really important because several of these books, and it's in the picture I'll show you tomorrow, several of these books, are older. They didn't all come out at the same time. So the longer the book has been in Amazon, obviously it's going to sell less. However, that cuts both directions. The Marvel Encyclopedia has been out for a little bit of time. It's not a brand new book. It's been out for a while, and yet the number one, as far as we can tell, the number one monthly graphic novel sale, if you're using that word extremely loosely, because the Marvel Encyclopedia is not exactly a graphic novel, it is kicking everything else's ass, including Three Jokers, which has been out for like a month. And so you look at this trend. What's interesting is, and the part I find fascinating, so these are kind of the Marvel. The second thing is this 100 comics. The third one, Poor Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, which what I find hilarious about this, and I've done videos and I have gotten trashed on by some of the other YouTubers for my saying, hey, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is not bad. It's not. It is absolutely not. And the sales reflect this. So this title is like 1,000 days old, and yet it's still bringing in about 255 of these sold a month on Amazon. Keep in mind, this is just Amazon. This doesn't include Walmart or Target or Barnes & Noble or anything else. And freaking Moon Girl is killing Gotham High, which was out just like it's been out like so much longer. And Gotham High is selling up 37 copies a month. I mean, that is amazing. I mean, you just got to, it blows your mind, but it indicates that even when Marvel has something that works for young adult, they ignore it. Like you should be pumping out more Moon Girl at this point. Come on, what are you doing? And then also people talk about what's going on with Dark Horse. It's nice to see Dark Horse hanging in there as the number 3 book. Now, obviously, they had the bump from Umbrella Academy on Netflix, but still, hey, good for Dark Horse hanging in there. And then, of course, Three Jokers. But it's an interesting chart. But here's where it gets crappy. Does this picture look sad to you? Breen said he threw up in his mouth a little bit. I don't know if he was talking about this chart. But let me make this a whole lot worse. Are you ready? All right. So now let's add in some manga. So when we add in manga to the same picture, we get My Hero Academia Book 1, which has been out for at least 5 years. And keep in mind, this is the English version, not what they're selling in Japan. So just the localized version. And it immediately dominates the number 1 spot. Our good old Marvel Encyclopedia is still hanging in there at number 2. But then 3, 4, and 5 are taken up with more manga. I mean, immediately everything else gets pushed down. And it's the skies and the scope of this thing. If you watch as I go through this, the numbers on the side that we're showing 6,000 here. Here's some manga. So there we go. Doing great. I'm going to make further adjustments to this where I pull in the numbers from the from Japan. But anyway, there you go. So there's manga, and I haven't brought in nearly enough. This is just kind of illustrative of what's happening. But if you think this is bad, let's take a look of what happens when we add in some YA stuff. Let's see. Oh, there's the Babysitter Club. Starting to pull in those kinds of numbers. There's Guts by Raina Telgemeier. Now, keep in mind, Guts is more than a year old at this point. I think that was early 2019 is out there. And so that book, in comparison to, say, Three Jokers, just crushing it, having been in the market that much longer. It is, and cost doesn't play into this at all. This is just units sold. And these are all graphic novels, and they're all coming into about the same place. But there's more. Okay, so this is a pretty grim picture. Notice, by the way, that our greens or blues are Marvel and DC. And are you ready for the absolute crushing part of this picture. And it's right here. So now let's bring in a Dogman. And when you bring in Dogman, it blows your mind. So I did the video, I had Murphy on the stream. We kind of joked about how that Dab Pilkey's just swimming in money like a Scrooge McDuck. This is absurd. So this is per month. Amazon alone. This is, again, not counting where more of the titles are sold, which is Walmart and Target and other places like that. Amazon alone is moving 32,000 units of one issue of Dogman, or one book of Dogman. Then you got Cat Kid. You have the first volume. Here's the first volume of Dogman, which is years older, coming in 8,000. Just look at that scale of the picture. And then in comparison to, Gotham High down there at the other end, it is, I mentioned this before, and people just crapped all over it saying, hey, why are we talking about Dogman? And it's not that bad. Oh no, it's this bad. It's so bad. And again, what I have to stress in looking at this data is this is the most recent 30 days of sales. This is not all time. This is not the entire picture. And it will absolutely, you start to add in those numbers and this does not get better. It just, the numbers, the red numbers just crawl. So if you're just looking at this for colors at this point, you have the blues and the green there. The funny part is, if Marvel did not have the freaking Marvel Encyclopedia, which is more than anything an MCU type product, Marvel wouldn't be playing at all on this picture. Like they don't even come to the table. Your best kind of shot in here is through Amazon again. It is Dogman just dominates, and then Babysitter Club is one that you don't see coming. But here's the other way to put this picture. I talk about this more in the video tomorrow. And yes, I can switch to log scale, but it's an ass kicking. I don't need to make it look more like an ass kicking. It's a total ass kicking, just like this. But here's the thing to think about, and then we can move on. But right now, the audience is actually, I'm about to answer. You're coming into this question exactly at the right moment. Why are we comparing this? Well, because the audience that's coming into things like Dogman and Babysitter Club and those books, those are the titles. Those are the readers who 10 to 15 years from now, in theory, you're going to want them in comics. That's the new market coming up. And what you'd hope to see is a nice segue from those readers into this other universe. You're absolutely right. I mean, and that's why I broke it out in these different pictures. You can go, well, it's not quite the same. Marvel and DC publish different things from Dogman, different audiences, for sure. But one audience is going to lead to the other. And I think so comics are losing. I disagree. That's not your point, but comics aren't losing at all. This picture shows that the market for comics is kicking ass. So to the question earlier, what's the available comic market? It's actually quite huge. The thing is, playing in the same like goofy space that is, Gotham High or that kind of stuff, that's a dead end road. The right place is to leverage this bigger audience, because these are people who are going to ultimately come and be comic buyers. And you can't completely isolate them. I mean, at night when you want to avoid taking a lot of pills, maybe you want to isolate them, but it really is, you have to look at this market and take it seriously, because right now what I'm seeing and what I think these numbers show, and I think there's a lot of stats to back it up, people are going from Dogman and Babysitter Club to My Hero Academia or to Raina Telgemeier. They're not going to, Justice League and to Avengers. They're going down a different route. And so when Scholastic announces, and they've got jobs posted saying that they're looking to expand their market in, beyond YA into like the 20s and that area, they're wanting to kind of get into that world. Why would they do that? Makes complete sense. Look at the market they currently have. They want to keep it. It's money. And of course, they want to keep that. But there's a risk here that this comic buying audience, which is actually super strong, is just going to continue down that path and never make the turn over to US superhero comics or US publishers. So in a lot of ways you can look at it. If you're Image, you can look at this and say, hey, I need to figure out a way to do the tag from people coming off of, Babysitter Club and Dogman to start getting them into my mix. That's what I'd be doing if I was Image. If I'm Boom, if I'm any of those people, I'm pushing hard in that direction. If I'm Marvel and DC, stop doing, I think, my opinion, this is all, you can take it or whatever you want. Stop doing Gotham High. Stop doing I Am Not Starfire, and start doing things that are more likely to capture people from this audience into your core books, because all you're doing is you're creating these splinter business units. You're not going to be able to keep going. If put it this way, if you're lucky enough to get somebody who liked Babysitter's Club to pick up I Am Not Starfire, great, you sold a book, but where are they going to go from there? They're not going to go over to then Teen Titans, because you've got a completely different character and where it's just a completely different product. So unless you're willing to dump all of your current Marvel and DC and chase this new thing, which would be crazy anyway, you've got to have a different approach. And I think whether you like manga or dislike manga, My Hero Academia and these other books, they're showing that they are picking up that audience and they're doing something with it. I mean, and they're doing it from a distance. I mean, they're doing it with localized product that was initially written for a completely different audience. It's nuts. Anyway, one thing leads to another. It is a lot of other pieces, and this is absolutely true. It's people. You have to find better distribution. I mean, running a comic shop, I would love it if everybody knew the comic shop existed and came to the comic shop. I would love it. That's not reality. And if we want this audience to grow, we're going to have to get comics into other places for absolutely sure. And Ash, so Ash is disagreeing with me, but then he makes this point, which is exactly what I'm saying too. The failure of comics, they're trying to copy what other industries do and abandoning what they used to do. You can't do that. Look at My Hero Academia. Again, whether you like it or not, manga and that superhero genre it's not abandoning what it was. It's figured out a good way to get audiences from one place to another, and it's doing it. Marvel and DC have lots of books out there that I think would be great. I mean, a fan of Dogman should be able to step into, a King in Black. They can't today. There's no good bridge, and it's weird, but you could do that. So anyway, lots of things going on. Anyway, I do more analysis on this tomorrow, but this graph is just like, ugh, I just killed my hits for the video tomorrow. But I promise, do watch that one, because one thing I do is I put up the numbers of how many days it's been in market, and that is an important stat to kind of put in it, because it actually makes the picture so much worse when you see something like Dogman and Guts and these other books who have been in the market way longer than stuff that Marvel and DC are putting out, but still making a lot more. Anyway, crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Anyway, it's like I said, it's been a weird. I'm going to take a drink. That's what I'm going to do. And by the way, there's a lot of ways that you can read this numbers, and you can take different conclusions from it. And the crazy part is, I think that a lot of us here in the chat and talking can disagree with the analysis and what it tells us, and come up with ideas. I see like Ash has an idea, Horizon Brave has an idea, Breen might have an idea. Lots of people have, Brandon Perlow has an idea. A lot of people have ideas of where this can go. And the cool part is, you guys have ideas. Whereas I think in many cases, to Ash's earlier point, the publishers are following let's just try and kind of clone it on the cheap, because the other way this conversation goes is they're like, hey, look at all this money Dab Pilkey's making. I know, let's get Dab Pilkey to do a book for us. It's like, well, okay, that's cool. What will he cost? Oh, he'll cost like $40 million. Okay, well, that's not going to work. So who can we get that's Dab Pilkey-like, but cheap? And that is exactly the way the conversation goes. And if that's the conversation you have, you're screwed. You're just cloning something on the cheap, and you're definitely going to go nowhere with that. Anyway, some other question. Bring back the questions again. I'm there. You go. There should be a plan. Yes, there should. Can I do a sales video on licensed properties like Star Wars and Transformers? Yes, I absolutely can. Eventually, I'll get all of this. Sooner or later. Where we go? If Marvel signed a career like Kohei, to write Spider-Man, I think it would. But again, there's two parts. There's signing good talent, and then there's marketing that you've got them. And that is, they suck at both, to be honest. And that's not taking a cheap shot at Marvel and DC. I mean, you can talk to people at Marvel and DC. They will freely admit that they're cost constrained with who they're bringing in. And then on the marketing side, it's a little weirder because they seem to recognize that it's a underrepresented part of their business, but they don't know what to do with that. They don't do anything with that, and they just seem to be content to live with that. But anyway, up on the screen right now, there's some cool covers over there. To me, I keep meaning to do this. This would have been a perfect night for it. I want to do a session where a stream where I put on a character, and then we leave it up there for 5 minutes, and everybody tells me like who is the perfect artist. So imagine if the moment you're fantasy booking your publisher, and you've got unlimited money, and you can do anything you want with that money. You can bring in anyone you want. So who is the absolute perfect creative team for every single character? Like what would be the pinnacle of these characters? And I want to go through and like put them all up. I think that could be a fun thing for us all to do. I think that for me, Mike Zeck Punisher is just, I think that there shouldn't be anybody else drawing that character. I just love Mike Zeck Punisher. I think it's, I don't know why. He knew what he was doing. And I love him on that. That's the ideal. Yeah, and I think George Perez on Wonder Woman. I'd be hard pressed to think of something better there. Actually, this screen up here has a lot going for it. I mean, Todd McFarlane, Spider-Man, always for me, and George Perez, Wonder Woman for sure. George Perez winds up being a lot of things. So that's the problem. You have to pay these people and actually give them like amazing healthcare and somehow get them back. Jeff Johns, Gary Frank, Superman. Yeah, absolutely. Garth Ennis. Can you imagine a Garth Ennis, Mike Zeck Punisher run? I mean, that to me is, and I love Steve Dillon, but Mike Zeck and that would be some great stuff. That was okay. I've lost the thread here in the chat. Did comics sell more on newsstands? Yes. For one simple reason, there were more newsstands. There was more volume out there. But the thing about newsstands, and this is, I guess this is where I get people making fun of me for taking all sides. You can't just say that the newsstand was look at the huge sales out of the newsstand without factoring in returnability. So the newsstand had returnability, and in a lot of cases the comics were pulped. In fact, there's a rough number that's been tossed out there that's saying, sometimes, upwards of anywhere from 40 to 60% of the comics were pulped. So when you hear these numbers like this comic sold 400,000 copies, it's actually less than that, but it still sold more. And so the real value of the newsstand was not the amounts, it was the distribution. It was the fact that comics were in a lot more places, and that created a wonderful chain where very few people's first comic buying experience was in a comic shop. It was at the grocery store, it was at the gas station. That was the first comic they bought, and they bought for a while there. And then they realized at some point that there was a comic shop, and so then they would go there. And so that's why it was a much better feeder for getting people into comics, and why we do need to get back to the newsstand. Problem being, the newsstand is not what it was. The other problem, and why did they go away from the newsstand? Because a lot of reasons. I mean, in some cases, the venues were getting tired of comics. It was too much of a headache. It was a consumable good they didn't want to deal with. The direct market cropped up and offered to take the risk, and the publishers liked that. Not having to deal with returnability was a good thing, and a lot of people kind of did it to themselves, and so that was part of the problem. The newsstand definitely had some problems, but it was definitely net positive for everybody, including comic shops, including a lot of comic shops who hated it because they didn't like the competition. They came to realize that, it was the newsstand that got them their customers. And that's why it was such a mess. Was Watchmen in my numbers? Yes, it was. It was there. Watchmen is a little harder to gauge because they've printed that so many different times, because they're always finding new ways to screw Alan Moore. That's what's going on. What is the reader drop for a successful comic run? 20%. Yeah. I think the industry has kind of decided that 20% is success, which is kind of sad if you think about it, because there are examples like White Knight, like Donny Cates on Venom. There's a couple books where the curve either completely flatlines. In this case, it's a good thing. It holds stable with its customers, or it actually increases. The reason why, Sean Murphy's had a good run on, a DC and why they keep giving him White Knight work is simple. He makes, he made the first series go back up. It's like, it's really no simpler than that. Yes, I said that tongue in cheek, Bailey. You can't talk about Alan Moore. I want to do a video like the things that make people insane. And for whatever reason, Alan Moore is one of them. So I did a video a long time ago that was a complete and absolute joke. So if you guys have seen it, you go look at it today when you get a chance. It's Alan Moore versus Grant Morrison Wizard feud. And it was I was 100% sarcastic in that thing, talking about some tongue-in-cheek or maybe kind of crazy interviews that two of them gave about who has the best magic, and it's complete nonsense. It's a complete nonsense video. I am definitely having a laugh. But man, go look at the comments. There's some people in there who are hardcore about Alan Moore. Like, how dare you? How dare you, sir? It is nuts. I don't know why, but that video is crazy. Go look at the video. It is. I promise. I was just feeling very light. That's how you find my channel, the Wizard video. There you go. I don't know why. You know what? I think there is somebody out there who could tell me what the hell YouTube does to the way I tag stuff, the way I put stuff in. I mean, if you look at the descriptions or the tags or anything I do, I'm making it up completely as I go. And like half the time I'm bored and I just write complete nonsense in that thing. And I don't know what's going on, but I feel like if I put just 5% more effort into it, it would do better. I don't know. On growth, yeah, 10% is damn good, 100%. And if you are getting, Mr. Jack Irons here, Ironverse Comics, if you are getting 10% growth, you need to be hyping that fact all over the place. Marvel and DC might not care, but the other people will. Why do SJWs double down when a comic sucks in the first place? I think historically, a lot of publishers, long before SJW was a term, tend to double down when it gets negative attention. There's an interesting phenomenon in comics where even if you go back to like the 70s, you can see like fan reaction is negative about something. And the publisher seems to want to fight. They want to fight it out for no good reason. And it is one of the reasons why I think Jim Shooter does have some of the reputation he does, because he did have a semi-policy of, if the comic sucks and the people are telling us it sucks, we're going to cancel it. We're going to move on. We're not going to have some kind of petty fight. But that behavior was going on in the 70s. Like it's further back. It's like there's this weird desire to want to prove the customers wrong for reasons I do not ever understand. I don't get what's going on there. It's very, very strange. And like the comment made a couple weeks ago, I think a lot of people are off their meds. Or maybe I remember man, one of these times I'm going to have more than I have 2 beers in front of me, so I'm not going to get hammered. But one of the times when I'm drinking whiskey, if one of you like Ash or Breen, you should come on the show with me sometime. That would be good. But anybody, Horizon Brave comes on, somebody is with me. And you sense I'm getting really hammered, get me to talk about convention experiences. And you know how I abstract the names. I say, I was talking to this writer or this artist. I get drunk enough, I'll just start blurting out these names. It'll be hilarious. And then I'll be screwed, but it'll be funny. But at any rate, I was at, I think this was New York City Comic-Con 2 years ago. God, it was one of the ones where there was some kind of drama going on with Mark Waid at the time. So maybe it was 3 years ago. There's something going on at that show. But I'm out with an artist. And the artist is at the table. We're drinking, and the artist opens up he has some pills, has a little pill bottle, and takes some pills, and then is washing them down with some scotch. And I'm like, hey, you shouldn't wash down your pills with the scotch. That's a bad combo. Don't do that. It's like, no, this is what makes them work good. And it's like, fuck, man, what are you doing? Anyway, you'd be surprised how many people have the knowledge or have the belief that you can make your pills way more effective if you just have some hard liquor with those pills. And that is That is a bad idea. Do I think it's possible for a TV show or movie on a comic character to decrease the values of the comics? Yes, 100% I do. Catwoman accomplished that goal, and so did Steel. There was an impact, and Fantastic Four did as well. I think there definitely a bad movie can definitely hurt things for sure. Zero. Example of 70s industry finding out. DC, all over the place. DC. So a lot of people talk about the 70s implosion at DC, but they forget that the origin of the 70s implosion was a year earlier. There was the 70s explosion, and DC kind of hyped like, we're exploding with new titles. And a lot of those new titles were the exact opposite of what the fans were asking for, and it was intentional. It's worth a video, but if you go look into the DC implosion, it's a fascinating read. But find an article or somebody who's writing about it who also includes the year and a half before, because not only is that great reading for some Schadenfreude, but it's also, you see the reasons for the implosion. A lot of people like to I say a lot of people. It's either the comics historian or comics who's playing it is one of them was talking about this, and it's like, the reasons for the implosion were what happened a year and a half earlier. You overpublished, and they're just, it was right there, but they often skip that first part. So when do comic creators create new characters still get a cut of the pay for the day? No. Well, maybe is the answer. I did a video a couple days ago. Oh Christ, who's the artist now? Tiff, why am I spacing on this? See, the first beer has taken effect. Hey, wait, crap. Somebody in the chat will remind me. Alex Ross. Yay. And it was Comics Explained. Thank you. It was Comics Explained. Alex Ross was mentioning that he got screwed out of some royalties. And that's probably leads to a lot of the royalties are paid either, and I don't have firsthand knowledge of this. Obviously, no one owes me a royalty. This is what I've heard from others. So take that with a grain of salt. There's my disclaimer. The royalties were paid as a suggestion or as a favor or as a nice thing, but not necessarily as a program. And as a result, it seems to vary whether they actually do that or not. And in many cases they don't. So I think my blanket statement, and there are artists, by the way, who have argued aggressively with me on this topic, and then like 6 months later said, you're right, I got screwed. I think a lot of artists believe that they're owed something. Like, I created the character and they'll surely pay me a royalty, and then they do not. I think there was this whole back and forth a while back around Jessica Cruz, and Jessica Cruz was created by Jeff Johns and Ethan Van Sciver. And then they seemingly killed off Jessica Cruz, and there's like this dialogue of like, oh, they're trying to screw Ethan from paying him a royalty. And maybe, I don't know. I'm not in the heads of any of these people, but keep in mind, they would also be screwing Jeff Johns in that period. Or maybe they wouldn't, because they seemingly pay people randomly anyway. So who the hell knows who's getting paid at any place? I don't know. It feels like if I'm gathering this correctly from what I've been told, it feels like there's a lawsuit just waiting to happen on this topic, but we will see. Anyway, that's probably way more information than you wanted. So, didn't Immortal Hulk go up by a large percentage? It went up, and the large percentage is tempered a little bit by the fact that it was part of an incentive program where you had to order extra copies in order to qualify for other things. So as I do more of these videos, particularly where Marvel is concerned, now Avengers didn't have any of these in their run worth talking about. The War of the Realms one did slightly. I am going to point out that when the book is tied to some kind of variant incentive plan, it's worth noting, because that skews the numbers quite a bit. Anyway, I'm gonna drink something else, and now I'm drinking. Anyway, all right. Where are we? Comics and liquor shop. Yes, well, so my comic shop will open up with drawing lessons, and I'm going to try and encourage kids to come in there and take drawing lessons, and it'd be a place where parents pay to have the kids, learn art. So that would kind of dent the liquor plan, but that is where my heart is at for sure. Yeah, I know people. Yeah, people die from mixing sleeping pills and booze. It's a bad plan. Don't do it. I love how Streamlab just randomly resets the chat. That's awesome. After Marvel announcements, what about Fantastic Four? I mean, third time's the charm, right? It's got to be good. Yes, Breen, this is what I was grasping out of my memory. The comic book Implosion is an excellent book. That is an excellent read. It is worth your money. Why did they make Cyborg a Justice League member? I mean, they for whatever reason they weren't pulling the trigger on Jon Stewart, and they finally did. They wanted something that had a lot of diversity in that lineup, but maybe a better plan would be leverage Jon Stewart. You want to make that goal, and then do more with Titans, where he was already a member. That might have been, and was on TV as a Titan. Then you wouldn't have to explain things to kids. It would have been a good plan. Anyway, I like the Hellblazer series. That was good stuff. Perch getting hammered. Keyword convention. Yes. All right. Why does failed comic like Captain America still have a bad writer on? Why can't a publisher get rid of said writer? I mean, they can. They don't. Some of it's budget. Some of it's a belief that it's going to get collected in trade and it will do better with that person's name on it. That is what they're thinking, I think, with Captain America. But Captain America is cheap to make. I mean, the art talent they have on the book now is pretty cheap. And and then sometimes it's I don't care what people say. I'm going to stick with my plan. Especially I think when the publisher goes out and finds a big name, like this is an example. That's probably not accurate, but it will illustrate the point well. DC goes out and they really work to get John Ridley, and so they get him in and he starts doing a book. Now, if Ridley's book absolutely sucks, somebody at DC has to explain why they went to all this effort to get Ridley, paid him all this money. So in many cases, rather than explain, they just double down and keep it going. And I think that's true with Captain America example and several others, but maybe the elephant in the room is asking a lot of questions. So you guys, he's kicking everybody's ass. When they do something with Nightwing, who does credit? I mean, increasingly it seems like they throw a dart at a board, to be blunt, because there is no consistent strategy at all. And somebody should just get in there and clean that up from an ethics perspective. That would be a great plan. How random is it to say a question comic comes out for a short series? Is it to hold on to the license? Often it is to hold on to the license, yes. But sometimes somebody has a good pitch and they've got some extra budget and off they go. Are Snyder and Capullo getting paid for all those McFarlane figures based on their stories? I don't know. I would doubt it, but maybe. Capullo has a lot of money. I mean, he does well. I'm not supposed to say that, but that guy's doing well. My local shop hated Marvel's. Him and me both, brother. I'll buy that guy a drink. I hate these fucking things. Does double shipping help or hurt? I think long term it hurts. In the short term, it seems to help. It's a way to spike numbers. It's a way to kind of keep the thing up. The thing is, with DC exiting Diamond, does Marvel care anymore about winning that race? I mean, I think there's a psychology aspect where they really wanted to win in unit and dollar sales, and now that they're the only ones there, like who's keeping track? Like there's no race to be won anymore. That's what I think. Yeah, I love the idea of collecting. Yeah, this is absolutely what I'm doing. No, I'm not opening a sweatshop. Maybe. Anyway. Oh, crap. You're right. Horizon Brave points out that the Fantastic Four has had a few others. I forgot about those ones before, back in the 70s and 80s. I forgot. Yeah. Oh, well. All right. What's my most memorable convention moment? In a happy way, or you're gonna have to come in a happy way or an unhappy way. I've got some horror memories, but I have some happy times as well. I got some happy memories with Chris Claremont. But anyway, who is causing all the problems in the comic book industry? I want a name. Give me a name. I don't know. Rodriguez. He causes a lot of problems. He's a pain in the ass. Oh yeah. Hey, 100. Yeah. Thank you. By the way. Oh, holy crap. We're at 135 people. That's awesome. I was not paying attention. Thank you for everybody who's in here. I don't know why you come listening to me talk. I just talk in weird platitudes. What I hear. Anyway, what is the stupid freaking Streamlab? What is why with all the bad feeling around Marvel and DC, if the internet is believed, do we not see a bump in the number of people buying? Oh, this is a good question. Well, this is my guess here, so take it where it worth. And keep in mind, part of why I'm thinking this way is because comic shops this year have been slightly up in terms of sales. Now, it's a lot of back issues, and a lot of the top-selling books have gotten stronger. But one, I believe some of the people who complained buy anyway. Just to call out the elephant in the room, I think some people who are really angry with them still go in and pay their $30 and probably feel bad about it. By the way, that's why in the videos when I say, you know, don't spend your money where you hate it spent. You'll be a happier person if you don't. That seems like stupid advice, and it kind of is, but that's my advice is don't buy things you hate. But I think people still are. And then the other thing is, I think people who became Marvel and DC fans are scared of going to the indies. And I say this because many times in the shop, I would try and coax fans or customers into trying something on the indie level. Even when as a creator, they loved at Marvel and DC, and they would never do it. They're like, no, I don't want to go into the indies. It's like, and I've heard a lot of very weird reasons over the years, like, you know, oh, that would be me admitting that I'm a comic nerd. It's like no, you're getting a story you like. That's stupid. You don't say that to a customer, but still, it was stupid. But I think there's a lot of hesitation. So I think in a lot of cases, when people get really frustrated with Marvel and DC, they just go out. They just leave, and so that's I think, and I think the sales kind of reflect that as well. Sales are up, but back issues are carrying it, and you're seeing the top titles get a little stronger and the middle to lower dropping, and that's not good. We're killing the middle class in comics. How long does the Future State Bridging Stories go? It's 2 months, and it's not a reboot. And for a handful of titles, they're going to be introducing plot lines in Future State that then will carry over in the regular titles. And most of them will probably be forgettable. You're talking about doing an art studio or comic shop. Would you look to create IP or more than one? I am creating my own IP. So I haven't talked about my comic for a while, but that is progressing. So that is cool. Did someone at DC ever tell you the reason behind changing Captain Marvel to Shazam? You know, I've heard a lot of stories. I don't have an answer. I've heard a lot of people tell me the answer, but I've heard 3 different answers. So I do not know. Keep up the great work. 8 hours of video a day would help give me my voice would be gone. Oh crap. Yes, you can ask. Absolutely. You can ask about my comic. Why not? For sure. Oh crap. Now there's been so much. Vin David says both, and I forget what the original question was. Okay. Most memorable name at convention. Chris Claremont. I had some good times with Chris Claremont for sure. Absolutely. I had some good times with Claremont. I had some good times with, I had a good memory with McFarlane as well. A lot of people said McFarlane was a dick, but I don't know. I always found him pretty damn helpful. He was always very, very helpful to me. Yeah, I've met a lot of good people. I had a good memory with Keith Giffen. Of a good time where we just had a really good chat and a good conversation. I had a really good chat with J. Scott Campbell before he got really, really super popular, where it was just chill. I like when we go out and we have drinks or eating some food and it's very relaxed. We're having a good time. I had a really good time with Matt Fraction before he got very popular. And he had this very unknown person, Kelly Sue DeConnick, that was with him, and she didn't say much, but it was a really good time. And then I've had some really bad time with some of those same people. In terms of the negative, I mean, I've carried people to their hotel. I've been that guy. I'm not some kind of epic drinker, but I feel like I have some kind of internal trigger to know, like, hey, you should slow down on the drinks so you don't pass out here, where a lot of people don't have that ability. So I've carried a lot of people to places I've been thrown up on before. I've watched some pretty shady advances go down. So I was hard talking about the Warren Ellis stuff. I was not in the presence of any Warren Ellis stuff, but it's no surprise that these kinds of things go on. The only part that really irks me is that there's always this shock. Like, I can't believe that this creator was doing some of this stuff, especially when it's like mentioned by Rodriguez, by people who also do shady stuff. I don't know. It's like, that's what I hate. I absolutely hate. What do we got going on? What's my favorite Avengers story? It's that Masters of Evil attack on the Avengers that decimated the team and I'm forgetting the issues here. But Captain Marvel, I think, was the leader of the team at that point. Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel. It was just a good run. They did good stuff with Jarvis. It was brutal. The Masters of Evil got their shit together, and it was that was just a really good story. It's just very, very solid. Not only when I open the shop, I will not only announce it, I will do a video on it. Now, I do that with some hesitancy because I know I'm going to get then screwed with online like I did before. I know that's going to happen, and I know who will do it, and it sucks, but for sure, absolutely, I will do that. I live in your general area. Well, we should meet up for a beer. I'll meet you up for a beer before. Well, I guess we can't now. Thank you, pandemic. Have any of the U.S. publishers tried bundling series in a Shonen Jump type format? It's kind of what the DC group did in Walmart a little bit, just kind of half-assed. And there's other things. I absolutely cause lots of problems, tons and tons of problems. Someone said that DC stopped working with Diamond because they got tired of Comic-Con reporting that Marvel was selling. No, there were long-standing problems with DC and Diamond around their logistics, their lack of modernization, their crappy customer service, the way they would give additional things to Marvel in some cases that DC wasn't getting, ignoring kind of emails from pretty senior people. There's a lot of things, but I don't think it was that. Love your interview with Erratic. Yeah, that was a good. AWA totally got shafted. They need to start over again. They absolutely need to get back and do that again. Where are we going? Why isn't there a Grindel universe? That beats the hell out of me. Yeah, Cherry Pop-Tart. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah. Captain Marvel, I think this is the answer here. After Future State, you compare it to all different Marvel. Yes, I absolutely do. I think that's absolutely what we've got. How do you feel when, say, Marvel pushes Captain Marvel, a failed character, and punishes stores for it? I don't see it this way. And I don't see it as punishing stores. It's not punishing stores. I mean, the stores can just not order. And in many cases, the stores order because, those comics, they sell to an extent. I mean, I will do the analysis of Captain Marvel as well. I mean, that title doesn't sell well, but it doesn't sell well like a lot of other crappy things that don't sell well. So it's like, it's not the store. I don't see that as the store getting punished. I think variance and incentive schemes punish the stores. I think that is and even that's not really true because, I mean, you can always opt out. With Captain Marvel, look, I totally get why Marvel pushes Captain Marvel, and that story became even more clear when that movie made $1 billion. I mean, yeah, they want to have a female character that's strong, that is fairly greenfield, they can do what they want with and push and be a kind of a major character. That's what they want. And of course they want that. It will make money if they do it right. The challenge is so what I would say is stop pushing it dumb. I think it is totally possible to do a great Captain Marvel story. That's not what you're doing today. And I think when you lean back on, hey, girls love Captain Marvel, do it for the girls. I think that's a crap marketing approach. That's not going to get anybody to the table. You got to do a little bit more than that. If Raina Telgemeier or freaking Dogman proves anything, if you just have an entertaining story, you know how to connect to your audience, you can make a dog policeman work. And if you can make a dog policeman work and you can't make Captain Marvel work, then, I mean, maybe you should be embarrassed. Yeah, that's true. This is a true statement on Todd. Has Chris Claremont written much post X-Men? Not much, a little bit. What's this about AWA getting shafted? Well, their premise to launching their universe was that there's a massive pandemic hit and a bunch of people died and some people got superpowers, and they chose to launch this universe in March of this year, which is a terrible. I mean, that's almost like a comic fail video right there. It's like they have some good talent, and yeesh, that's like you could not pick worse timing. Of course, they didn't know, that's bad luck. So they need a restart. Absolutely, they need a restart. What are we doing? What are the chances of Tamaki writing your comic? 0. Sorry, so that's easily answered. Is there any creator you dislike and refuse to read any book there's on? There's definitely creators I dislike. Make no mistake about it. The creator I dislike the absolute most, I never mention because it's personal. But generally the reason I dislike a creator is that they actively screwed me in some way. Like they agreed to do a signing, or I sent them money to do something, and then they flaked out and did nothing. And then, or, one creator in particular who took my money and then proceeded to crap on me to some other store owners. That's like, there's some dirty business stuff. And I don't, one of these days it'll all come out. So I just have to drink more and it will all come out. But I still read all the books. I read all the books because I think it's my job. If I'm going to comment on books, I'm going to sell comics, I have to read them all. And so I do read them all. And that's just what we do. Yes, absolutely. Online store. Absolutely. Nobody in their questions bother Perch. Yeah, pretty much. It's hard to get me irritated. I think a lot of people think they're irritating me, and they I don't know. Same way. I've heard it all. Oh crap! James probably left already. Bye. See you later, James. Yeesh. Yes, I will have an online presence. Yes, for sure. Where are we going? Any interviews coming? Yes, several. I mentioned it before. I've got a few coming. I should use that one. There we go. Yes, I do have some. I mentioned at the beginning, I've got a few coming up. So I hope you'll like them. And I'm interested to talk to Jeff Thorne, who certainly riled up the internet this week, and I want to ask him about that. So, I want to get more people. Just so you know, I want to get more people on this channel who I would say disagree with 90% of the chat. And I want to do that because I want to, if they're brave enough to come out and talk, I want to be able to say, hey, what's going on here? And what I want to hear their side of it. I think we benefit from hearing their side of it. I've jokingly in the past, I'll do an interview with Mark Waid. He'll never do an interview, but I would happily do an interview with Mark Waid because I have some questions for Mark Waid, like a lot of people do, I'm sure. But at any rate, a character. Oh, we're talking about Captain Marvel here. Yeah, Captain Marvel is. I mean, you can't quantifiably call Captain Marvel a failure. It's made a lot of money, but the comic, I think, I'd say the comic is. Here's a nice way to say it: the comic is nowhere near living up to its potential. How's that? That's probably what I would say. Do I think the new Batman character side punchline will last? Nope. And is Null the only good new character Marvel's had in years? No, I'm sure there's more that Marvel's had, right? There's got to be. God, it's been a long week. I need to do like a positive video of all the things I've liked. This is what I'll do. This will be a good way. This will be like a Christmas video or like wrapping up the year. It's like, here's all the things that were wonderful that happened in comics this year. And that video will be like an epically long 40 seconds. No, I'm just kidding. It'll be a long video because there were a lot of cool things that happened in comics for sure. If you're going to spill the beans, how many beers was you consume? I don't know, but me probably several. Beers does nothing. Why are they putting Tamaki on detective? I don't know. I wouldn't do it. And I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it for a very pragmatic reason. Okay, if you're DC, you're in bed with Tamaki, you're doing YA stuff with her. She's on she's part of your roster. Okay, great. Commit to a long run with Wonder Woman. Like she was making traction on Wonder Woman. Don't immediately like shuffle her off to detective. That's insane. What are you doing? Can we see some art from your comic not shown? Not right now. Because I have the screen. Well, maybe can I do this? Let me see if I can get the tablet. I've got so much art on here. I'll see what I can do. I need like a third arm. That does not sound right. Alex DeCampi would be another. I would have a far better chance of getting Mark Waid on this show. LOL, get your boy Zach. I mean, they're both in a lawsuit, right? I mean, they wouldn't do it. If Waid won't do it, I'll do it, Perch. Okay, Jeff, we're doing it. I like how Shonen Jump collects different styles in the weekly. Where else can I? There's some other. Shonen Jump is not the only person doing this out of Japan. There are others, and I think that is. There's some other great ones out there. When do you think Marvel? So this is a good question because I think that hopefully somebody at Marvel or Disney. It depends on how they view the comics. I think that nobody at Disney is going to say, "Hey, why is Captain Marvel selling 24,000 copies when we have $1 billion movie?" That comic sales needs to get bigger. Nobody's going to do that. They don't care enough about the comic sales to make that statement. But what they do care about is saying, hey, well, why is it that we have this super amazing property over here and this licensable product? I know the comic books is not a licensable product, but stick with me here for this analogy. Why is this product performing so poorly? should we be publishing this comic? Should we be doing this if it's reflecting badly on the brand? If it's not living up more to the brand? That's the conversation that will initially happen. And so, they better figure this stuff out. Why can't the big two make YA cutting edge diverse books? Absolutely, they can do it. I don't get. So I've had this argument with some people in the comments before. I mean, if I'm DC and I want to have YA money, what's interesting about that picture, and it just kind of floated by. Let me see if I can pull that back up again. There's one comic I want to draw your attention to. It's right. Oh, I gotta hide this comment. It's right there. Do you see in the blue? Where are we? Watchmen, Raven. Ah, crap. What am I doing? Now it's not sure. See, I screwed myself. I totally, Perch screwed Perch. That's what went on there. There is, I took it out, right? Okay, I understand. There's a DC book that is not a DC character. It's a new character. It's like an art-based character, like a painter. And it's one of its strongest sellers. So if you're DC and you want to go in for that YA money, go in for it. But just don't mix the streams. Don't cross the stream. They're like do some new stuff, because you're far, the proof is in the numbers. You're far better to do that stuff. Look at Marvel. Yes, I know Devil Dinosaur is an existing character, but that is not one anybody really knows in any serious. Moon Girl is new. That title does well. It has some longevity. By contrast, the whole when they had the Kids Light version of Squirrel Girl and America Chavez and that stuff going on, it tanked. And it's like, this audience, you're confusing people by trying to use these brands. You think you're doing something smart by leveraging the existing brand and just making it kiddified, but it doesn't work that way. It's the numbers kind of prove out the case. It does not actually work. Werewolves or vampires? I'm going to go werewolves. Why not? The vampires have gotten a little sillier. I've heard this before about, I don't know where it went now. Was Disney fixing the theaters about Captain Marvel? It's possible. It would be it would be an abnormal amount of work for Disney to do. And it feels like too complicated an answer. I think a much easier answer is there was not a lot of movies on at the time. It was an action movie. Marvel, the brand, is very strong in terms of people know that they can go to it and they pretty much know what they're going to get. And, it worked. And it was built for international audiences, and there you go. Did I like any work Mark Waid has ever done? There's some stuff. I think his Flash work for sure. I think he's done some good work. Kingdom Come is a solid book. He has gotten crazier over the years, but that crazy was always kind of there. I do a video on positivity. I get 0 likes. Yeah, probably so. No, but that's not. I am pleased. I think. And bear in mind, if I had fun doing a video about positivity, I'd be totally fine with it getting 0 likes. I make no money off likes, and I make no money off this channel. I know there's ads and stuff, and basically these ads and all the money we're making here is kind of an experiment to pay for the printing costs of the comic. So then you don't pay for that. That's kind of what you're doing. You're funding the comic right now through the videos. That's where the money's going. I'm just kind of curious how much money is going to be made, but I'll have to put my own money into that too. There's no money that comes out of YouTube. Why do I think so many Mark Millar stuff gets adapted? He writes for the screen, and that's kind of what DC is copying a little bit right now with hiring so many screenwriters. I think that's my opinion. I think that, and Miller's a really good pitch man. If you've ever, that's somebody I've had good memories of. Miller is somebody who he feels exciting. He feels like he's holding on to lightning, and you want to be a part of that. Miller is he has a showmanship that really, really works. Disagree. You will be the only one putting out good things about 2020. Well, now I have to do it. In bed with Tamaki. Oh yeah, I did say it at one point. What do you recommend for buy at my LCS tomorrow? God, what was good this week? I have to go. Let me go to the list. There were some good comics, right? Yeah, there was some good stuff out there. I don't know what they're doing with Spider-Man. That's taken a very long time to get to the point, in my opinion. No, there's good stuff in here. God, it's not Spider-Man number 5 though. That was terrible. Crap. I did like some of these books. A lot less than I'm remembering though now. I mean, Year Zero was pretty good. The Flash, Endless Winter is just not doing it for me really, but it was all right. I guess. Oh, hell. I'm having an embarrassing moment right now as I look over this list. Okay, I'm going to go on. That is embarrassing. The amount of YouTubers I really detest grows. Would you let your daughter read my comic? One of them, not the other one. The one I'm doing is super, super violent. Any thoughts on the Disney Plus Marvel shows? Too many, but I get it, you know. But some will be good, some will be terrible. I don't know. It feels to me like Disney Plus, I think people are missing this point. I think Disney Plus and Marvel, I think they're trying to get a bunch of the young characters in and going so they can do a Young Avengers, ensemble show at some point to kind of cap this whole thing off. I think that's why we've got Riri Williams in there. I think that's why we have Hawkeye and Miss Marvel. I think they'll collect these all together and then we'll get to that. I'm pretty sure. Tamaki was writing a perfectly acceptable Maxwell Lord. I don't know why you take her off Wonder Woman. It's crazy. Okay, Wizard grants me to be Supreme Chief of DC Marketing Creative Decisions. Oh, man. Well, first of all, I figure out really good creators to be on books, and then I sign them for 2-year contracts, and I keep them there. That's what I did. Yeah, Richard Corbin died. That's very sad. Corbin, I don't know how to do, I've kind of toyed with, I want to do these kind of remembrance videos or something where I talk about the career, but I really have a hard time doing it. And Primer was that book, but yeah, I need to comment on Richard Corbin because that was it's very, very sad. A lot of people are getting up there, and I worry about that. Hey, about 15 minutes, I am going to go into the house and have dinner. So that is what's going to happen here relatively soon. A lot of comments about me screwing dogs. Okay. Simonson's Thor. Oh, Simonson's Thor would be a great retrospective. Hell yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I will do that. Absolutely. Okay. Perch wants to talk to us. I do. I like talking to people. Congratulations on getting your last Ronin. Can you get Thinking Critical to come onto your channel? And he has a top 10 list. Yeah, I can do it. I got to figure out a way to trap him. I'll get Wes to come on the channel and we're going to talk about all the things you love about Bendis. That'll be funny. Finn Sitter, Art for the Birds. Hey. I think people misunderstand sometimes, and I do this to myself. So it's not you. It's not your fault. It's me. It's me. It's not you. It's me. It's me. It's totally me. I'm not as Finn Sitter middle of the road as people think. My style is that it's because I ran a shop. I think if you run a business, then you definitely are in the mentality of like, here's the facts as we know them. Hey, here's the compromise we made to make. Here's what we're doing. That's kind of where I come from. But keep in mind, I have solid opinions on all these things. And maybe I just need to do a better job of at the end of the video go, here's all the facts. And then my own personal opinion, screw it. And then just maybe that would be fun. I don't know. Yeah, I felt bad about that one. Okay, you know what? This chat hole thing is driving me nuts. So I apologize. What's for dinner? I'm hoping let Mrs. Perch have some steak waiting for me in there. That's what I want to. That's what I want to have happen. Please. Yeah. Wes would not go for that. Do we have it wrong? Does it not make more sense to not follow a character or a book, but a writer creative team that puts out stuff you like for personal happiness? 100%. But keep in mind the comic industry. You've asked some awesome questions, Joseph, by the way. I think the just stream from the dinner table. That would do great. See, I'd be doing this, and then my kids would be like coming in and pranking me, and it'd just be. I did this video, by the way, and I promise I'll get to your question, Joseph. It's a good one. It is my older daughter went through the YA books. I took my younger daughter through it, and it was like a miserable video. Like we went through a whole thing in 2 minutes. She's like, creepy, no, creepy, gross, creepy. And it's just like, I'm like, I got to work with her on her showmanship. But my kids would love to be on the channel, but like I said, they got downvoted and they're just like crushed. And I'm like, okay, well, toughen up, kid. Anyway, I think that as people, and I've given this advice to people in the past, is like, if you find a creative team you like, you follow that creative team anywhere, and don't necessarily get caught into the trap of sticking with the characters. Now, the publishers have definitely wanted you to do this. They want you to stick with absolutely with the characters and with the books, and that's your loyalty should be to there. Of course they do this because one day the creator hops to another company and they take the customers with them. And I think ever since Marvel got really burned by that in the 90s with Image, they've doubled down on really trying to get your loyalty onto a book. But as a customer, as a fan, as a reader, you should go with creative teams will not let you down. That's my opinion anyway. I think for sure. What do I think of DC having several comics or fine? It's too expensive. Too expensive. Do I know why Claremont doesn't write more comics? Because he's got an exclusive contract with Marvel that pays him really, really well, and he does not have to write comics to get paid. And a lot of the editors don't necessarily like Claremont, resent the contract he got, feel like he's getting, he shouldn't be given the money that he's gotten, and so they also don't give him work. So that's pretty. And when they give him work, they also have to pay him a little bit more too. So. But he doesn't have to work is a short answer. It's BS, really. Yeah, it's tough. Anyway, it's been why am I stuck on this chart? I can go back to this one. I put this up. We didn't talk about this maybe. It's some cool stuff. Yeah, we definitely the Punisher up there for sure. There's Santa shenanigans with Superman. We're getting Santa shenanigans with Doctor Doom and Iron Man here, I think next week. I think that's either next week or the week after. So, hooray. That's great. Great that's happening. And a lot of stuff. So anyway, loyalty is a reason you still get EBS work. Yeah, you be loyal to a creator. If they're good to you, you like their work, it makes you feel happy, you should do that. Whoever that creator is, it's your opinion, not anyone else's. If you are good, then all is good. So, who is the biggest name on DC now that Snyder and Johns are not full-time? Well, probably King. Bendis will be on something. Probably King or Bendis. I want to see where Josh Williamson winds up. I want to see where Venditti winds up. I'm hoping something solid. We were given word that our city is going to lock down on Monday. Oh, man, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, it's all going to go to hell over the next 2 months for sure. And I mentioned this before, and I got kind of a ha no kind of response. But Diamond is absolutely heading for some distribution troubles. No doubt about it. You'll be thrilled to hear that. Absolutely, that is gonna hit them. At this point, it's inevitable. I think Future State could be an effort in the direction of making it might be, but they've got to then get the Gen Z customers into the store to find them. And if you don't do that part, then they're not going to know it exists. And that is the worry. That's something I hope to talk to some people over at DC about. Hopefully on the air with an interview. It's like, hey, you're doing this thing. Okay, cool. Good or bad, you're chasing this new audience. Now, how are you getting them into the shop? Oh, you have no plan for that. Okay. Don't you think you should have had a plan for that? That would have been either of the last two death metal one shots important for me to get over the last 2 weeks. The last stories of DC Universe is probably important if you care about long-term storylines. I think there's some stuff in there. They should fire all the horrible editors at Marvel. Editorial needs a massive cleanup, and they need before you. Here's an interesting thing. I think before you fire the editors, you clean house. You got to go higher up. You got to go to the leadership, because the leadership largely told a lot of these people to do that. I know no one. Well, not no one, but the majority of people here in the chat probably won't agree. But I talked to several Marvel editors, no secret about that. And a lot of them are very nice people who are not bad at their jobs, but they are being told to do things. And I think the instructions they're being given are crap. And I think that combined with a low paycheck is crap, absolutely crap. What gossip do you have on DC? I know some people who have slept with people they shouldn't have slept with. I know that there's some. I know that there's been some stuff. I probably know more gossip at Marvel at this point. That's going to tease people. Sean Gordon Murphy is probably the biggest name. Probably he's up there. I mean, for art talent, he's probably he's definitely in there. Get them in the shop. Yes, Murphyverse. Yeah, get the Murphyverse made into an HBO Max line. Animated would be good. That would be smart. What made comics interesting to me when I was young? Well, see, when I was young, we didn't have cars. There were like horses and carriages, and there just wasn't much entertainment. So, reading about seeing John Byrne on X-Men was amazing. That's I'm being sorry. I like to read, and I liked art, and I like the combo of the two. It was good, and you could step into these amazing. The thing I loved about comics, and I still love today, is there's an unlimited potential to tell anything, to have any story ever in the entire world. There's no limits to it, and it's what gets me frustrated at times when the comics come out crappy, because you're working in an industry where you have zero limits. So why are you putting limits on yourself? That's what drives me absolutely nuts. They need to assign reading assignments for editors, writers. Yes, they do, but you got to pay them more. I mean, I don't know. This is going to sound really cynical, but if you're paying somebody like $32,000 a year, and you're saying manage 9 books, and by the way, you need to live in New York, and your health insurance is kind of crappy. It's not all inclusive, and by the way, you're going to be judged on if you can make these titles sell really well, but we're not really going to give you a budget to do it. And by the way, here's no training or no onboarding. Good luck. Then, I mean, what do you expect? Anyway, what's a good word on my book? Clocking along. I need a colorist. That's probably the biggest news at the moment. YouTube needs to buy Perch a drink. Yeah, for sure. Multiple posts, no problem. I'm getting there. 5 more minutes, guys. 5 more minutes, and I am. Yeah, Viz Media made some really good decisions, and now are making some absolutely terrible decisions. I totally agree. I found comics on my own. I did. Comics by Perch slept with him. Oh crap! Who? It's possible. Not him. No, I wouldn't be him. What was my first comic? I don't know. I really couldn't tell you. It's such a blur at this point. Is X-Men my favorite comic franchise? It's up there. I mean, Legion is up there. Titans are up there. Do you remember, like, I was a kid, do you remember the G.I. Joe, the original G.I. Joe series with Hama and Larry Hama? And there's some good runs. Like, I miss that stuff. Have I tried a Sam Adams beer? Of course. I mean, come on. Who are you talking to? Yes. Yes, I've had many a Sam Adams. Yes, I do say. I do need a colorist. Funnily, someone said it's not PC to call the X-Men men, so notice it's House of X Powers of 10. Yeah, I know. Don't leave Perch eating is for losers. Yeah, probably right. But an angry Mrs. Perch is not a good plan. And when she goes to trouble making me dinner, I submit. I have my, what can I say? Perch comic designs restricted by live action TV show designs drive me nuts. Yeah. Do you remember, by the way, man, costume design was so badass at one point because there weren't limits. And now you can talk to a lot of artists who are designing costumes. And that's a consideration now, is like, you have to make it accessible by TV. And I don't mind if the story is you have to make these costumes feel relatable to the current audience, that's fine. But you have to kind of downgrade your costume so you can adapt it to TV or movies. It sucks. It just sucks so much. All hail Perch. An easier question is, what drink Perch hasn't tasted? I should do it like happiest places I've ever drank. I had drinks on a. This is going to sound very, very fancy, but I had drinks on a little cliffside bar in Dubrovnik, Croatia. That is one of the happiest memories of my life, just of drinking. All the happiest memories of my life are with my wife, who is listening to the stream right now. Absolutely, it's with you and the kids. I mean, we can't forget about the kids. But Dubrovnik, a great place to drink. Before everybody figured out it existed, I used to go when I was hanging out at Disney World a lot, doing stuff down there. I shouldn't have said that. At any rate, when I was doing stuff there was a tequila bar in Epcot that they built in the Mexico Pavilion, and nobody knew it existed for the longest time. It was wonderful, especially in hot Florida sun. You could go down there and cool off, and relax, and drink tequila. And man, it was that was a great place. It sucks now. Yes, it is kind of winding up. Wild question night. Yep, we do these every now and then. It's good. Yes, thanks for people in the chat. Hey, if you enjoyed this chat, I guess you should like this and see if we can figure out how to break YouTube. That would be super great. Hey, awesome. This is a comment I love. It's been great. So this is what my hope is. So whether my videos are dumb or stupid or rambly or whatever they happen to be, that's what I'm trying to have, the kind of conversations I'd have in the shop, which many times were long and all over the place and usually crazy. That's what I like, and I think that's the audience that I want here, is the people who just miss going into the shop and having a chat. That's what we're trying to do. So I hope that that's getting a little bit of that. I did see that Dan Didio cameo. It was awesome. Dubrovnik is awesome. That place is great. Don't believe what they tell you. Croatia, especially Dubrovnik, kicks ass. For people again thinks I'm totally crazy. That is where they filmed the King's Landing. Game of Thrones, and it's like it's real. Yeah, America Chavez is a yeah. I think they're gonna rehab that character. Maybe, who knows? Please do like and subscribe for sure. I have drank around the world at Epcot many a time, and the key to drinking around the world, successfully having a good time, or if you really want to prove your courage, you drink the signature drink in every country. A lot of people kind of wimp out and they drink like the wine or the beer in each country. You drink that signature drink, because that's having to go from like margarita to giant stein of beer to some Italian wine to like Sam Adams to sake to, I mean, like that is what you're doing. Anyway, all kinds of fun. I hope it was a fun hangout. It was good. I'm gonna go have dinner. I'm glad you had fun. Breen, come on and do the chat with me sometime. You and I don't talk enough. I'll accept Ash. Thank you very much. It's crazy, right? We're having a better virtual LCX experience than these terrible conventions that have horrible things. Anyway, what are you going to do? I hope everybody has a great night, great weekend, a great time. I really do appreciate talking to you. Whether you like it, hate it, joke around with me, it is all good fun. Generally, I do appreciate. I don't get. It's very hard to get me angry about anything. So bring it on. It's all fun. We have a good time. Some good interviews coming up next week. Good stuff. Yeah, there you go. Take care, folks. Yeah, each week is a tiny bar hangout. There you go. All good stuff. The thing's all going around. All hail Ash. Sure. Later. Thanks for the hang. Hey, thank you, everybody. Good times. I got to wrap this up. Take it easy. Bye. Thanks for listening. That's what I do. Thanks for listening. That's the end.